Imagine a 10-bedroom mansion that costs a fortune to heat, where the roof is cracking and half the rooms sit empty. Or a 6-figure sports car that never leaves the garage because the insurance is too high to actually drive it. Modern society often looks at the scale of these assets and assumes the owner is wealthy. If you showed this exact situation to John Ruskin or an ancient Athenian general, they would label that person a beggar. Curious, it raises a question about the nature of our belongings. What if your assets are actually making you poorer because you lack the skill to use them? True wealth depends on whether your holdings serve you or whether you have become a servant to the maintenance of your holdings. In 1876, the English thinker John Ruskin watched the rapid industrialization of Britain with deep skepticism. He saw a society accumulating money while losing its sense of value. To address this disconnect, Ruskin avoided modern economic theories and instead translated a text from the ancient past. He published a new edition of The Economist, written by Xenophon, an Athenian philosopher and soldier. Ruskin believed this book contained a constant truth about money that the 19th century had forgotten. He used this ancient dialogue to challenge the standard definition of an asset, asking his readers to reevaluate what it means to own property. The text centers on a conversation between Socrates and a man named Critobulus. They begin by dissecting the true nature of property. They conclude money, horses, and land do not function as property to a man lacking knowledge to use them. If a possession drains resources, it functions as a liability. Xenophon argues such things have no value to slaves to their passions. This makes the science of economy a matter of simple math. It is the art of maintaining a surplus. If maintenance costs and lack of utility eat the value of an asset, your true wealth is effectively zero. Holding a title or a deed without the practical knowledge to manage it amounts to expensive hoarding. Managing wealth requires a level of personal discipline that must be developed through practice. For the Greeks and for Ruskin, the physical work of agriculture provided this education. Unlike a business partner or a market trend, the soil cannot lie. As the text says, it shows truly what it can and what it cannot do. It strictly rewards competent effort. Farming demands early rising, physical endurance, and a sense of justice. You either provide what the land requires, or the land provides nothing in return. Therefore, the capacity to harvest value from an asset is a prerequisite to owning it. You must build the human capital before you can manage the financial capital. This theory has a practical application in the story of an Athenian named Ischomachus. He describes his father's approach to real estate. His father followed a contrarian rule. He refused to buy pristine, well-tilled parcels of ground. He targeted land that others had abandoned, parcels that were lying unproductive and untilled due to neglect or a lack of means. By applying the management skill he learned from the soil, he could take an unproductive, flatlining asset and force a sharp spike in its yield. He practiced a 2,000-year-old form of value investing, buying raw utility and applying his own skill, rather than paying a premium for someone else's work. This ancient strategy was central to Ruskin's mission in the 19th century. He translated Xenophon as a survival guide for the average householder, not as a theoretical text for scholars. His goal was to provide the perpetual service of the peasantry of Britain by teaching the practical laws of home life and the habit of creating a surplus. For Ruskin, financial literacy begins with domestic discipline. The lesson for modern investors is that wealth behaves like an activity, not a collection. Warning tone: without the discipline to manage what you have, a high net worth is a dangerous illusion. It is a value that can dissolve the moment it is tested. Managing finances requires the same relentless attention and active management an ancient farmer gives to the soil. Your own capacity to manage property is a more significant asset than the property itself.